Hey, what's up everyone? Shane here with ROA Off-Road. Welcome to another Thursday Campfire Rant. I know we don't have a campfire lately, but don't worry. We're gonna head out and get some nice campfire rants going here in the next little bit. So I'm coming from the studios and I do have a rant today. And hey, if you like these rant videos, you gotta go check out our playlist. We do rant videos every single Thursday and we do live rants the first Thursday of every month where people can participate, ask questions, and we can go over anything RV related off-road. Specifically, we kind of gear towards off-road, but today I want to talk about expectations that you should have with a new trailer, and like you should essentially expect it to break frequently. So let's get into this. Okay, so I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but the reality is it's important to set some expectations for people. Trailers break, period. But I don't want to just say trailers break. Everything breaks. Like, it's not just trailers, like vehicles break as well. Houses break as well. And cars and trailers are not the same. They're not built the same. They're not engineered the same. There's not, like cars, a lot of it's automated and robotics. There's a lot of consistency with that. With RVs, they're made by humans. And I like to compare RVs more to houses than cars because of that human nature that goes into it. It's almost like carpenters and electricians are building RVs, just like they would build your house. Now think about it. Is your house perfect at any given time? Unless you're very, very on top of things, I would guess no, right? I can think in my house, I have, my front door, I have to push extra hard for it to get shut because the striker doesn't fit just perfectly. It's not lining up like I want. My bathroom, main level bathroom door doesn't latch all the way all the time. Can't even lock it. Nobody realizes this. They push the button, they think it locks, but you can just push it open. Kind of funny. That hasn't happened to anybody yet. But there, I mean, like my garage door, the spring thing that's supposed to automatically shut it, it has gone out. I need to go and get a new spring. We just barely remodeled our kitchen and we got all these nice new cabinets, and one of the cabinets is kind of a little bit of off of adjustment and it's starting to rub and scrape at the bottom, right? This is a house and we spent a lot of money on the kitchen and the cabinets. Like, it was a very expensive remodel and like nothing is perfect, right? One of our faucets, I noticed it's kind of getting loose. I need to try to figure out how to tighten it. The head of it is kind of wobbly a little bit. This is my house, right? And so I just think to myself, like, people, they get a trailer and they expect everything to be perfect all the time. And they go off and they drive it down the highway. Then they go and hit the off-road. And when something's not working or things break, they're all like mad or frustrated because they're like, well, is this supposed to, why is it doing this, right? Like, think about your house. Once again, nothing is ever perfect on the house. Now imagine taking your house, like currently, if you can imagine this, take your house and drive it down the highway. And it's going to be vibrating. Do you think anything would break? Do you think there might be some cracks in your drywall and stress cracks? And yes, absolutely, right? Things would be shaking and vibrating and breaking all the time, right? Down the highway. Now, if you went off-road, oh my goodness, with your house, think about this. You're talking 4.0, 5.0, 6.0 earthquake. What would happen to your house if it went through a 4 to 5.0 earthquake? It would rip and tear to pieces and crumble to the ground. Now, I get that the trailers are designed for going down the road and going off-road. I know people are like, well, it's not a house, right? It's a trailer and it has suspension, and you talk about how it's an off-road trailer, so it's designed for that. Yes, it is. And the fact, like, your house is not designed for that, and that's why if it went through a 4.0 earthquake, it would be rubbles, right? The fact that the trailer goes off-roading and it's not in rubbles is miraculous because it's built and designed very similar to a house in a lot of ways. The cabinetry, the flooring, a lot of these trailers in the US market are built actually even cheaper than some houses, much poorer quality. I know our trailers are definitely better quality than the standard trailers out on the market, but just because they're more expensive, just because they're more quality, or because they're better built and they're built for off-road does not mean that they're never going to have problems. Listen to this, people. Like, it's so important for you to understand that and reset your expectations. I love selling to trailer owners that are second and third time trailer buyers because they're typically very understanding about this. The first time trailer owners are always like they have to just reevaluate their expectations. So I'm telling you right now, like, never at any time has ROA said trailers are perfect and you will never have problems. I always tell people, hey, if you plan for one problem per trip, and you get 0, you're happy. If you get 2, you're like, ah, dang it. But you were expecting 1, right? And so I don't want to say that's always going to happen, but the reality is there are things that are going to happen, and you just got to have an expectation that, you know, if something happens, I don't need to freak out. I don't need to be frustrated. I can get it back to ROA, and they'll service it, take care of you. Now, let me tell you something about my truck. I have a Power Wagon, and this truck is marketed as an off-road truck. I just got back from the shop earlier today. I went in there because along my diff, I had a leak, and it looked like it didn't, I don't know what it was coming from. It wasn't the diff, so it was my front locker. It was leaking, oozing out, right? I'll admit that I drive my truck pretty hard, but guess what? It's an off-road truck. It's designed for off-road. It should be able to handle this type of stuff. It's made for off-road. Like if you watch all the Ram trucks, they're taking them off-road, Jeeps and Power Wagons, right? So it's leaking, right? I go off-road and my alignment gets knocked out. I go and get my truck aligned every quarter, at least every quarter, 3, 4, 5 times a year. I'm aligning my truck because I'm off-roading and rattling, and it gets out of alignment, out of adjustment, and I have to go and, you know, get the alignment and put back in. So the bill today, let me tell you, I don't actually have the bill yet. He's working on my bill. My entire frame is bent. My bed is bent off of the back of my truck. I didn't even know this. They pulled it up and they're like, dude, your entire frame is bent. And because it's bent, your rear drive shaft is actually bent as well, and it's rubbing against part of the frame. And so my drive shaft has a line in it because as it's spinning, it's just slowly grinding away at my drive shaft. Check out these pictures. They're pretty crazy. You can see the drive shaft where it's like there's a groove in it. That's because the whole frame's been bent, right? How is this even possible? I have a Ram, and these trailers are built by robots, and they should be perfect, and they should never have issues. It's an off-roading truck. How could it be broken, right? This is like, I have this conversation with people like, well, I thought this trailer was designed for the off-road. It should never break. And I was like, I have a truck that's designed for off-road, and the whole frame is bent. Yeah, I'm running it pretty hard, but it's designed for that, right? Isn't it? My front drive shaft is also torn up. You can look at this picture here and see the rubber gaskets are all ripped out. Okay, listen to this. This is my favorite part. I went and did a suspension upgrade kit. This is a Carly suspension. They're very expensive. I want to tell you how much it was. They range in between 7 and 15 grand, right? I got one of the nicer ones. So I was thinking, man, this thing is like, the Carly talks about how they do Baja, right? Like they do all the Baja stuff. They're very, very good, made for Baja. Anyway, my shocks are blown out. Look at one of these pictures here. You can see this. All the fluid has oozed out, and you can see it kind of dried up along the side. My shocks are totally busted, right? Once again, I'm driving it off-roading, right? I drive very hard. I am pretty hard on the vehicles because I'm going out with trucks and trailers, and I really want to test them, and I want to put them to their max capabilities. My control arms, my like actual suspension control arms also are cracked and split, and I'm like, there are so many, my truck lately has been more in the shop than it's been on the road, because when I go off-road, I drive it hard and it breaks, and I come back and I fix it. And guess what? None of it's under warranty. It only has 60,000 miles on it. It's out of warranty, unfortunately. So I'm going out and to fix these things. But even if it was still under warranty, I think for the most part, the manufacturer probably wouldn't even warranty some of these things, because they would say this is excessive wear and tear or excessive abuse, right? We have some people where they take their trailers out and it's just like they're mobbing them, like trying to jump them and stuff. And it's like, dude, this is not under warranty. This is called abuse, user abuse. Like this is excessive use. Like this is not a manufacturer defect. That's what warranties are for. When something breaks, you know, that shouldn't have braked. When you go out and jump your truck, that's not covered under warranty. That's a little bit excessive abuse on the owner. And I'm not saying I always jump my truck. I have jumped my truck, but outside of jumping my truck, like I have a lot of problems. And I think this frame has probably was bent before I ever jumped my truck. But once again, it's like I can make this argument that it's a Ram Power Wagon. It's designed for off-road, when in reality, like nothing is going to withstand constant abuse, whether it's a Toyota, you know, the gold standard of great manufactured vehicles, or whether it's a Ram Power Wagon or a Jeep or a Roamer and Pause and whatever trailers we have, like, you know, constant abuse is going to create wear and tear, and things are going to break. It's inevitable. Have this expectation. Yeah, nothing is going to be perfect. You know, there's this silly thing where, like, people are like, oh, if I buy a $20,000 trailer, it's going to fall apart. But if I buy, wait, how much does it have to be? Does it have to be 80,000 to not fall apart, or does it have to be 100, or 150, or 200? Like, where's the price point where things don't break anymore? Now, it's funny is because in cars, like, you go out and get an expensive $150,000 Mercedes or BMW. Last time I checked, they're in the shop sometimes more frequently than $20,000 Kias, right? So, like, wait, more expensive doesn't mean it doesn't have to go into the shop? Absolutely not. Like, I don't care if you go and get a sports car. I mean, I've heard McLarens and Ferraris are notoriously unreliable and break down all the time. Wait a minute, that costs $200,000 to $500,000, right? Like, yes, there are more premium components. Some of our trailers have unbelievable lithium battery banks, solar arrays, and the parts are better, more premium, right? But it doesn't mean that they're never gonna break. Like, it's this idea of like, oh, I pay more means it's never gonna break. That's silly. It's just a silly idea that people have, which is just not. That's not the reality, the truth of things. Now, can you expect less problems with the higher end, more premium trailer? Yeah, I would expect less, but I wouldn't expect zero. And especially in the first 6 months to a year of ownership, sometimes in the RV industry, they call this the breaking in period. And even cars have break-in periods, right? Where you have to get the oil changed a little bit sooner than the regular service. And there's some things like, you know, where you get hit certain mileage, you have certain checks and certain things that you have to fix, right? Trailers are the same in the first year. Sometimes there's more issues than there will be in year two, because you're kind of, it's the shakedown or the breaking in period where you kind of shake it and find little things that need to be repaired. And this is one of the things that's really sometimes frustrating with RVs, is people sometimes think, oh man, why don't you just fix everything? The reality is, when it's going down an assembly line and a human being is putting it together, there's unfortunately a lot of human error. And so sometimes there's not the same issue over and over, right? With a component, like say, like, you know, if there's a recall on like a control board on a Truma or an AC, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's something that might kind of repeat itself here and there. But some of like the actual construction and the materials, from the cabinets to the floors and the walls, some of those things are very like, sometimes they're one-off things, and that can be a little frustrating because you never know. But overall, like, I think it's really important to set your expectations. Somebody called in to me a while ago and they said, hey, I want to buy a trailer. Which trailer should I buy? And I was like, well, what are you looking for? And they're like, well, I want to buy the trailer that has the least amount of problems. Like, I want to buy one that has zero warranty issues, right? And I was like, well, I recommend you not buy a trailer. That's what I told them, because I'm like, your expectations are through the roof. Like, they're not realistic, and that's what I'm hoping to get across today, is just have the expectations that nothing's going to be perfect, and you'll have more fun when you do it that way. You know, you'll go out and you'll enjoy the thing. And I had a roamer in here a little while ago. He had a trailer, and he said some things have broken on it, but they've not been detrimental, and I just keep on going, and it doesn't really bother me. And he says, you know, Shane, you know what? How I look at this trailer, I have so much fun in this trailer. Like, he bikes, he off-roads, so he's always out just having a good time. And he says, Shane, you know, the way I look at this trailer is I look at it like it's a good old pair of running shoes. And he says, and it's not supposed to be perfect. You're supposed to wear it out, right? You know, that the tread on, if the tread was perfect, it would mean that I'm not running in my shoes, right? If they didn't have little scrapes or scratches, it would mean I hadn't gone out and actually used the shoes for what they're meant to be used for, right? And so he says, the trailer, like, I don't go out and worry about, oh, I got a pinstripe or a scratch. He says, otherwise I wouldn't even be utilizing it for what it was built and designed to be used for, right? A scratch here and there is like, just don't let it bother you. Just go out and have fun and enjoy and get the use out of the item. Don't worry so much about the little things. Anyways, there you have it. Hope you learned something. I think these are really important rants to have, because I don't want people coming in, because we often in life, we are most frustrated by unmet expectations. Think about that, right? If your expectations are not met, that's what usually causes frustration. So let me reset your expectations a little bit so you can be more happy and less frustrated. That's my goal here. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.